ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure to welcome among us Yukio Hatoyama, the future Prime Minister of Japan, and now, of course, the President of DPG, but also, and I'm very proud to say so, the President of the Diet, Davos, DPG Caucus of Japan. So please welcome again, very cordially, the future Prime Minister of Japan. I'm pleased to greet also what I call the Davos Japan community. And here I would like to welcome particularly our business members, but also the members of the Diet who have been newly elected. Please, if they are here, please stand up so we can congratulate you for your results in the recent election. We have no, two, I see, two. I welcome also the members of our Global Agenda Councils who are so active here in Japan, the members of the young global leaders whom we have integrated here, and the media. And you see, you represent the best of the World Economic Forum. The World Economic Forum is a multi-stakeholder group, integrating leaders from all walks of life. We deeply feel that the big challenges in the world, and we are confronted at this present time with enormous challenges, can only be met by close cooperation, by partnerships, engaging all stakeholders. But today is a very special moment for the World Economic Forum and for myself, having come here more than 50 times since 1973. Today, the World Economic Forum is opening its Japan office. And this is a significant step. And to have, at the day of the opening, your presence, Mr. Hatoyama, I think is significant and a very good omen for our undertakings. I would like to use this opportunity to thank particularly Mr. Mori, who has made our presence here possible and who has made it possible that our offices are installed in this beautiful building. I would also express my deep gratitude to Takanaka-san, Heizo Takanaka, our foundation board member from Japan. And of course, I have to say a great thank you to Sadaka Ogata, who has been associated with the World Economic Forum since such a long time. I also would like to express our appreciation to Yoriko Kawaguchi, who serves in the foundation board of the Young Global Leaders. And I may also present to you the new director of our office here, who will make sure that there's a close connection between the World Economic Forum and Japan, Akira Tsuchiya. Where are you? Yes. The theme of the meeting is Japan's role in the global agenda. The World Economic Forum, as a multi-stakeholder organization, is now engaged into a major initiative which is called the Global Redesign Initiative, which we are undertaking with the support of a number of governments. This global redesign initiative is aiming at creating solutions for our many issues which we have on the global agenda. And it's trying to do so by integrating all stakeholders and by looking at our global future in an integrated, systemic, proactive way. And of course, I express my great hope that Japan, you here in the room, and particularly you, the new government, will play a major role in creating integrated proposals for meeting the challenges of the 21st century. My friend, the person who has created, who has coined the word soft power, Joseph Nye, has once said that the World Economic Forum is the best organization in the world to exercise soft power. And soft power means also exercising soft power to take on a great responsibility. And we hope to meet those demands. So let me stop here, tell you again how pleased we are to open this office and welcome the Prime Minister in spe to address us.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I do head the DPJ of Japan. My name is Hatoyama Yukio. Lunch is in front of you, so I don't think I should make a long speech, otherwise you might not like me any longer. So let me be as brief as possible. The Tokyo office of World Economic Forum has been opened, and I would like to congratulate you. This is the forum that is constituted by the leaders of different arenas. And the World Economic Forum, for example, as headed by Davos, is going to have the Tokyo office here in Japan. This means that this doubles with the new Japan that we are to create, in which we would be able to communicate to many people around the world as much as possible the new Japan that we are to create. This is my great joy, and at the same time, I welcome this wholeheartedly. It was 2001 that I joined the Davos conference for the very first time. Dr. Schwab, as well as other members of WEF and other participants, whether from the politics, economics, academic fields, they have given me so much stimulus, I must say, that I have appreciated, especially as for the future direction of the world. And amidst that, what is the role that Japan is to assume? Or what is the role that Japan has to assume? These are some of the topics that I have pondered as I participated in the Davos conference of the WEF, and it was invaluable, an opportunity for me. I wanted the same opportunity to be shared by as many colleagues as possible in the politics, and because politicians need to have the global perspective. And in the DPJ, we have established the Davos Caucus. And I had the honor of serving as the head of the DPJ Davos Caucus. And I've invited and solicited my fellow politicians to join the Davos meeting. Because of the timing of the Davos, it's not necessarily that many of my colleagues could attend. And we wanted to resolve some of the issues which impeded from my colleagues from participating the WEF. As you might all know, the election took place recently in Japan, just like in the United States. The Japanese people have wanted and requested and opted for change. As a result, many of the wishes of the Japanese people have resulted in the change of government. The change of government does not merely mean that it's a victory on part of our party, DPJ. It is a victory for the democracy of Japan, I must say. This is the victory that is to be shared by all the Japanese people, and that is exactly what we would like to do on part of DPJ as we become the government party. In that sense, I must say this is a historical event. DPJ wishes to improve the quality of life of the Japanese citizens, and with that strong wish, in the past, it's been tended that the bureaucrats had a bigger say, but we wanted the politics to be led by politicians rather than bureaucrats. That is the reform that we wish to pursue on part of DPJ. In diplomacy, the LDP had their policy, but compared to them, we like to be more proactive in our diplomatic policies because we feel that to be very important. And if you are successful in doing so, then the people are going to truly appreciate the change of government, and that is truly going to result in the victory on part of the Japanese citizens. Japan's role in the global agenda is said to be the theme of this conference, and I must say, what a timely topic that you have chosen. The DPJ is going to start afresh here in Japan, and we would like to make contribution to the peace and prosperity of the world. What is the role that Japan is to play in the global agenda? We need to review this issue once again and to make progress as we look back. When I first attended the Davos in 2001, that was a time when people said, the more freedom there is in the market, the better it is. The less the regulation, the better it is. We were very naive in thinking that was the best. At least that was true for the majority of the people. Of course, competition is going to be the source of vitality. And if you look at the Japanese economy at that time, globally speaking, was over-regulated, which impeded some competitiveness of Japan, which we cannot deny. Whether now or then, companies should go through sound competition in order to grow, and this grand principle is not to change. But having said so, if we leave everything in the hands of the market, is that going to make everybody happy? We were too simplistic, that may be true, but globally that was proved not to be true any longer. Here in Japan too, whether it is among the Japanese people or whether it is between the central cities and the local cities, we are seeing ever more widening of the gap. Let's look at the income gap as an example. If you're born in a family of low income, and compared to a child born in a high-income family, the former is less advantageous in regard to the opportunity to get good education. Based upon the principle of competition, maybe nothing can be done, but there's no responsibility to the child that is born. And if you think about that, that is not just. As Kudenhoff has said, that unless there is a fraternity, there could be a disorder as a result of too much confusion, and I must agree to that. And if we merely resort to the market mechanism and the principle, there would be some roles that the government would not be able to justify accordingly. DPJ has made commitments. For example, the child benefits that are to be provided could be used as part of the education or for improving and increasing the Japanese population and other aspects as well. But I must say that it is backed strongly by the principle of fraternity. There should be no misunderstanding. We're not trying to pursue socialistic equality because that would not resolve anything. We need to have vitality from the economy, and if we do so, it would rid away the vitality of the economy. As my grandfather, Yukio Hatoyama, has said, what is important is the fraternity, and there's a role to be played by the government, and between the freedom, there needs to be the right amount of tension between the players. And that is exactly the right road as pursued by fraternity. DPJ is making proposals. For example, the training of the people. And there needs to be a balance between the policies to be pursued by the government and the market. If there is excessive market mechanism and their principles, we might see overheating of that taking place in the financial sector. In the 18th century, there have been some of the incidences in UK, which are a good example in the history in which, quote, money game in the small sense has made people unhappy. And already in the 1980s, Japan has gone through the bubble of the real estate. And in the 1990s, when the bubble bursted, did we have the right regulation in place? No. No. Because of that, there were bad debts which were held by the Japanese financial institutions, in which there was lack of funds in the Japanese economy, resulting in the so-called lost decades or even the lost 2 decades. So, last year, we have experienced the financial crisis last year, mainly brought forth by the lack of regulation of the derivative products, which I believe to be one of the major.
現在 G20
Currently at the G20, they are discussing how to regulate the financial market. Too much mechanism or too much liberalization of the financial market was actually the reflection of what they are thinking right now. However, the regulation doesn't mean that we have to exercise stronger regulations consistently to the market. Therefore, we need to have a good balance between the governmental regulations and also market-oriented approach. In the past, Japanese bank enjoyed government subsidy and Western government criticized Japan that the quality of the public funds is inferior to that of the private fund. However, now in even the Western world, that the government must provide the public subsidy to the banks, and then they do not criticize themselves, and then they are talking about whether it has to be the common stock or preferred stocks. So we really have to revisit this issue one more time. Last year, we had the financial crisis, and that was ripple effect coming from the one corporation's failure in one company. That incident actually ricocheted around the world and given the ripple effect and the great ramification to the people living in the world. And we really felt the gravity of that incident last year. Meanwhile, recently, if you look at the Japanese economy's growth, the most of the Japanese economic growth is actually dependent upon the overseas economic growth, such as Chinese market. You cannot deny that fact. Therefore, we have a great mutual dependency among the economies, and that globalization has the light and shadow. We need to regulate the shadow of the globalization and let the light side emanate from that light source. And when it comes to the system of assuring the income for the agricultural sectors and others, it could be as the safety net, and that safety net is one approach, one of the approaches to regulate shadow of globalization. So when it comes to the regulation of the globalization, again, the protectionism is not the answer. After the financial crisis, even in the United States, there were a movement, can be assumed as sort of a protectionism. However, the liberalization of the trade investment, we should not lose sight of that trend. Financial crisis and the climate changes, these issues shouldn't be dealt with just one state. There are many other incidences that the cooperation among the nations must be necessary. And we must have the global rules and international treatment. Therefore, we have G20 and also UN COP. These international frameworks are needed. in the past, we had been criticized that the Japanese government has been weak in the multilateral negotiations. So when DPJ takes the administrations, we shouldn't be criticized in that way. With the cooperation between the government and the Japanese people, we must contribute to the benefit of the Japanese people and also the interest of the Japanese people. So it is not an easy challenge for us to do that. We shouldn't be just affected by the original policy, or we shouldn't be just tangled up in the regulations. So even at the World Economic Forum, that I sincerely hope that these issues will be taken up as the theme of agenda, so that the discussion will be made in full-fledged manner. And it is very timely and it is really exciting to have the Japan office of the WEF. Well, lastly, I would like to conclude my remark with my sincere prayer for the prosperity of the World Economic Forum and also Dr. Schwab and other people here in the room, their health and also the prosperity. Thank you very much for your kind attention.